Carrie Ann stared at the canvas in front of her, the acrylic paint on her brush getting dry. The blank canvas stared back. Her brushes lay scattered around her, capillaries of color waiting, while all Carrie Ann can think of is the spider she feels crawling in her eye. It started as an unsettling itch behind her left eye, but then over the week, the sensation had intensified. It started after she talked to an online oracle named Low Caramel the Oracle. She'd asked it to end her creativity black, and it had shared back with her that she should enjoy the creativity block while it lasted, and soon a spider would guide her through it, using her dreams. The dreams had come too, nefarious visions warped by shadows and monsters. And then suddenly, a friendly figure had appeared in her dreams. It was her darling teddy bear from childhood, Sparkles. Well, as least it looked like Sparkles, but something about Sparkles' face was slightly off, but not enough that she didn't trust her childhood friend, and together they walked the cobblestone path till they arrived to the haunted lab owned by Dr. Kane. Dr. Kane was a person of twisted genius, known for their experiments. Twitch, itch, twisty, itch. The itch behind her eye disappeared, but what came next felt worse, like a small piece of soft rice in her eye, and by evening the rice twitched restless in her eye. It was like it was probing in there, pulsing to come to life. Carrie Ann felt it twisting. She held her breath and decided it was a trick of her overactive imagination. She rubbed her eyes till the rims turned burning red, but it didn't stop. A skittering moved across her eye, almost too subtle to discern. A soft sound broke this feverish reverie. It was the whoosh of her aromatherapy diffuser, time to turn on for the evening, sending out the lavender birch wood mix she had put in it. The soft whoosh of scented air emanated around her studio, creeping in and out of her paintings. Goosebumps ran over her as she realized a small spider seemed to be scurrying over all her paintings. It wasn't a normal spider. It seemed to be a light emanating out of her eye like a laser target. Carrie Ann moved her head, noticing the spider seemed to be beam out of her eye, landing wherever she focused. Just a figment, she said to herself, painting bravado into her voice. She squeezed her eyes shut, hoping to will away the spider laser coming out of it. To her good fortune, her vision returned to perfectly normal as soon as she opened her eyes. She reached for her paint palette, painting all the vibrant colors she had just seen from the laser, painting them as furiously and as fast as she could, as if she needed to get them down before she forgot the glowing black light colors the spider had shown her. First, she created tumultuous swirls on the canvas, but then she realized she'd painted a hypnotic spiral, and that was drawing her into its spiral. And as she looked at it, Carrie Ann's left eye began to itch an unbearable itch, thrumming through her eye like the itch had its own pulse and heartbeat. Little points of light tried to beam out of her eye in blips. Carrie Ann felt charged with energy and threw paint on the canvas, and with each maddening brushstroke, her painting reflected the terrors of her subconscious. Monstrous forms clawed toward the surface. Demons rushed from her brush. A deep pain suddenly surged through her left eye. Carrie Ann crawled into bed, pushing both her palms over her eyes till the little white needles all pushed forward in her eye. She saw the spider come forward. It was a tiny, shimmering hologram of light and shadows. The tiny spider dropped into a dark hole. Carrie Ann breathed a sigh of relief. The little pixelated mind spider was gone. She jumped out of bed to wash her paintbrushes and get a good night's sleep after such a thrilling paint session. She paused to look at the sorcery of monsters she had painted. It certainly was different than her normal soft light compositions she liked to draw of fruit baskets. She squished a big plop of minty toothpaste onto her toothbrush. She'd sleep well tonight. Twitch, itch, twisty, itch. Dreams. Dr. Kane's lab appeared hazy, like the mist of her aromatherapy diffuser, but this time it was moving through her dreams. A touch of dread ran down her spine as she saw thousands of digital spiders skittering across the blank white surface of the canvases in Dr. Kane's lab. Wiping her brow, she focused her eye on the blank white surface and realized the spider laser was in her eye and awaiting her to paint with it. First, Carrie Ann used the light beam coming from her eye to paint the same hypnotic spiral she had earlier, but then her head lurched some. She found herself at the mercy of the laser spider, doing its own painting while using her body to do it. The laser eye painted furiously, and suddenly a figure resembling herself emerged, but with an enormous, grotesque spider emerging from the left eye. A masterpiece of horror manifested. Suddenly, she felt a sharp jolt. What if? What if all those years of manic painting episodes had led her to something real, something this unbelievable? A digital painting eye. Carrie stumbled through the lab till she reached Dr. Kane's bathroom. Grabbing a mirror from the drawer, she positioned it under the light, examining every detail of her left eye. She could almost swear she saw movement, a faint shadow. It was maddening, a wink of insanity that hung over her eye. Her breath quickened, and suddenly, the atmosphere thickened. The edges of the mirror began to distort, warping, and then the reflection of Dr. Kane was in the mirror with her, a spectral presence whose grin let loose its words. "Release it, Carrie Ann! It craves release!" Dr. Kane hissed. The mirror rattled and fell from Carrie Ann's hands, but Dr. Kane's voice echoed, lodged in her skull. "Release what?" Carrie Ann asked to the air around her, but she awoke. Carrie Ann sips her Costa coffee, the warmth of the fluid soothing her. The smell of morning aroma clings to the wall in layers. Carrie Ann's head races. Was it real? A spider in her eye? Was it real? She sips another sip of the warmth. Or is the spider merely a manifestation of her longing for creative spark? Carrie Ann heads onto Reddit to find Low Caramel the Oracle, she'd ask them. Yes, why not? She types her post on the subreddit where Low Caramel the Oracle is currently residing. What is this spider in my eye? She types and hits send. You possess the seeds of creation, Carrie Ann. Low Caramel the Oracle answers her post. Carrie Ann gulps. What do you mean? I want to know what is going on with my left eye, she comments back. Within a few minutes, Low Caramel the Oracle answers. Embrace them. Own them. You got what you asked for, didn't you? She gives up and decides not to ask again, closing both her eyes squeezed shut. Carrie Ann isn't just an artist plagued by demons. She is now the very breeding ground of its creative horror, a vessel it would use to paint its most horrific, potent masterpieces. Twitch, itch, twisty, itch.
Dreams. You are the mark.